Guys, what's going on, gamers? It's my name, Tuppet Gaming here. And today, guys, we're back. In this video, we're going to go and talk about the new Xbox Series X that we have recently gone and purchased ourselves. We have recently gotten a HDMI converter, which is designed now so I can just press a button click and it switches between my Nintendo Switch and then it also switches back to the Xbox as well. I'm also planning on getting another one of these things so then I can have it where it switches between the TVs as well. Also, we're gonna have to be getting a few different HDMI cables to make that all work. Eventually, we will have that all going. Anyway, guys, why did I bother to go and tell you guys what we're doing today? We have got two audio tracks, which is now the main mic and then the output devices. I want to talk about a small thing that's called audio docking. This is the reason being why I've gone and changed the audio preferences of my devices. So as you guys can see here, if I go into settings, you can then see my presets. In the audio output monitoring, we have got desktop audio for chat mic audio 1 as chat mic, broadcast stream mix as mic 2, and the monitoring device is on game. Now, the main reason being why you might think, oh, why do you have a monitoring device now as in comparison to how beforehand you had no monitoring device? It's all to do with the routing table. So guys, right here, you guys can see all the routing table. This is just the normal stuff. There's recently been an update, guys, where you can see that you've got different mic presets and such like that. I've definitely gone and had a bit of fun with changing through a few different presets that I've gone and made now. I really like changing the EQ with the microphone. You might wonder, what is all this? Why is there everything under one line? And why is your microphone on the headphone volume? And why is the game on a separate volume? The reason being why I chose game is this is the overall sound of what everything else is prescribed as. Voiceover Daniel here. I'll tell you this in short. As long as one sound is then put onto the headphone output, so for instance, how game was already put as the monitoring sound, that is the sound that is then needed for you then to hear what is going on in your complete feedback. If you have it then put out onto the broadcast mix, you're then going to have a double feedback loop, and this can be bad for your recording. The broadcast loop is then a separate bit that then gets heard onto the sound of what's then being outputted as, but the viewer does not ever hear the sound that is then going into that one output that you then put out onto a sound on its own. So this is why I chose the game. If it was put onto the system sound, for instance, when I'm doing recordings where I'm wanting to play a game on my computer, I'd then have to go and switch to a different thing, and I'd have to put the games all into the sound that would then be the game sound. And I don't want to be bothering going into my Windows settings and going and messing about with some small little tinkers stuff that I could just do and have things be automatically assigned with a game. A separate audio device output that we made, as you guys can see down here, this has inside of it the broadcast stream mix, as you guys can see right here. And the broadcast stream mix has all the audio properties of what we are doing on the Goxlr with all the sliders. On the advanced properties tab, guys, you can see right here on the output devices that we labeled, this is on monitor and output. So this basically allows us to be able to hear all of our different sound inputs that then go straight into OBS. Why would we just want to hear the sound that just goes directly into OBS? It's because of this audio ducking that I have set up on the microphone. So as you guys can see right here, this uses a compressor, and the compressor is basically how loud and then how quiet the microphone is. Just as how we've got the compressor on the Goxlr, you can change these settings to whatever type of presets you want them to be. What I recommend doing is listening to the different sounds. The ratio is what you want to copy from your Goxlr on the regular part of how much the output is and then how much the thing goes on to. So for instance, the Goxlr has a part showing that our ratio is a 4:1. So we want to make this on our ratio be the 4:1. The threshold is basically how much by we want it to be minus. So for instance, every time we go and have something with music on, this then chooses with a threshold. It then pushes down how much the sound is then actually played. And it doesn't matter how much loud the music is, it then also then changes. So guys, I will show you an example of how the compressor works with this music that I'll play now, which is the stream music that I use. So if I go and talk right now over the music that's being played, you can hear it as it begins to quieten down. And then you can also hear it as the sound then begins to lift up. Now, it's all up to personal preference whenever it comes to setting this type of limiter, what happens with the threshold. But what I personally recommend is just listening through the different sounds of what actually happens. Well, the best way is to choose the attack first as the same attack as what you're doing on the milliseconds of what your on your noise gate of what that is, and then also then choosing your release and copy that, because then you can hear how much whenever you speak on those type of principles, it will just kick in the exact same time. But then this sound can change independently on its own. So like, just beware to just mess around with it of how much you want it to actually be turned on and then turned off with the attack like that. When I noticed when it was on 10 milliseconds, when it was basically trying to copy the microphone, it also pulsed in and out sometimes when I was speaking, and sometimes that can be more annoying than what you actually want it to be, because what you want it to be is you want it to be on a constant sound where it keeps itself going and then just stops whenever you want it to then stop. So the release is basically then how much louder you want the thing to be on, and then the output gain is just as simply as what it could be. So this is basically the overall gain of what the sound happens to begin with. So for instance, because we don't want this sound to change whatsoever, and we want to change the sound on the fly with our Goxlr on the faders, we don't want to change the output gain any higher or any more minus, because that'll just change the overall sound. Because as you guys know, as beforehand, the threshold is the sound. It's minusing how much the actual sound happens as we then kick in and talk with our music that then goes on, or with our gameplay that also goes on in the background. So guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope this video has been entertaining and engaging. I hope you guys have enjoyed. See you all later. Bye!